Well, we all know how important launch day is to a church plant. And so today on Practical Church Planting, we're talking about 6 things that you want to have in place on launch day.
Welcome back to Practical Church Planting, where in 15 minutes or less, we'll give you practical tips, advice, and encouragement to help you plant and grow healthy churches. My name is Brian Drosian. Joining me is Dylan Dodson. And today we're talking about 6 things to have in place for launch day.
Yeah, so it is beginning of January.
That's right.
This one comes out.
Happy New Year.
And so happy New Year to you. I hope it's off to a magnificent start.
Yes.
And with the new year this is a time of year when a lot of churches are planting, so or launching, we should say. And so I'll give you some tips to things to think through. Some of these things that we didn't have in place when we launched New City Church that we should have. So just some things to think through if that is you.
Ready for the big day.
Here we go. Number 1. And that's this, that you should know how you're going to follow up with all of the first-time guests that show up. Now, if you go to episode 36, we talk about our follow-up process here at New City Church.
Yep.
We use something called Text in Church. We talk about how you can use that. That something is great. But you want to have something better than just, I'm going to email everybody that comes.
Yeah.
Now, some of these things, you can't have everything figured out on day one. So you'll get better at it. You'll find what works, what doesn't. But I would strongly recommend knowing before the day actually comes, like, okay, for everyone's information we're going to get, what is the follow-up going to look like? Not just like, okay, Sunday was over, we got a bunch of stuff, it's Monday, I guess I'll send them an email because I don't know what to do. You want to be very intentional about this because this is huge to get people to come back.
Yep. And being that it's a launch day, so it's almost everybody's first day. I don't know that many are expecting to be followed up with the first day, because there's so many other first-time guests, or at least that's kind of the appearance to a first-time guest is probably a lot of people are new. Right. And so I think it adds something a little extra to actually do it on that launch day that I noticed, even though everyone was new, we noticed that you were here.
Yep.
And so I think having that in place before, like you said, before the Monday after, but actually knowing what you're going to do so you're not overwhelmed doing it is a big idea.
Yeah. So know what you're going to say, know how you're going to communicate it, but don't let Monday morning come and be like, well, what do I do with this stack of information that I got?
Yeah.
So know what you're going to do, how you're going to call, text, email, whatever. Have that in place, and so that, not even just week 1, but every single week, it can be something that is repeated and is automated or systematized, so it's not just some random thing every other week, which we've talked about in the past.
Yeah. But
know how you're going to follow up is really crucial. Number 2, because you're going to have so many first-time guests, you should have your first-time guest gifts.
Oh, Dylan, I think I heard something about first-time guest gifts recently.
In fact, I think if you go to the previous episode of this one from Practical Church Planting, you will find an episode on 5 gifts plus a bonus.
Oh.
And a bonus.
Yes.
First-time guest gifts that you could do. You should have some sort of gift. Now, there's going to be a lot of new people, which means it's going to cost a little bit more, which, our first week, we've changed our first-time guest gift a couple of times, but we bought a bunch of them.
Yep.
And, it's one of the fun things to say is like, hey, everybody's new. Even if it's people been on your launch team, it's just a fun thing to say everybody's new. No one has to feel like an outsider. But you need to have something for first-time gifts. And if it's your first day and maybe you decide to do something that's, I don't know, $7 or $8 a person, you can't do that for everybody. At least having something for everyone that's new. Like on our launch day, we bought a bunch of bottled glass Cokes. And everybody got one. And everyone got some other stuff too. But just something that everybody can have and enjoy. But have a gift, again, to thank people for coming. And again, they might not be expecting it because they think it's your first day. Everybody's new. Thank them for coming. And make it something that they actually might want to use.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things, especially, it was a good idea giving it to everybody because it's everyone's first time. But it makes it a little more of an event almost that people aren't really expecting. And maybe that's not the right word, but that's kind of the way it comes across is this isn't just another church service, but this is a special thing. It's a launch day. It should be a big deal. And it kind of makes it feel like more of a big deal.
You should ride the momentum of it. I have some people that knock launch days. Like, what's the big deal? Who cares? Like, no, it's one of the few times where people don't care if you're self-promoting on social media. Like, it's a good time. Like, you should use momentum whenever it comes. Launch day is a big momentum. And here's why having a first-time guest follow-up ready from day one, what you're going to do, and that's a gift, and having a gift is so important. I heard this, and I found it to be true for us too. When we launched New City Church, I heard someone said, I think there's research on it or something, but basically you're going to have more new people your first day than you will your first month. And you're going to have more new people your first month than your first 3 months. And you're going to have more new people in your first 3 months than in your first year, the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And so basically, launch day and the first few weeks and months are the most new people you're going to have in that short amount of time for a very long time. Unless your church starts growing down the road, you might finally start getting more new people on a regular basis than that. But for a while, your biggest first-time guest day is your launch day. And so you want to make sure you're going to follow up with them and you have a gift thanking them, encouraging them to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. I think making sure that you're prepared with everything for a first-time guest, or for everybody, because everyone's first-time guest is important.
But having something, which talking about getting people to come back, and here's point number 3, that you need to have your plan already for next week.
Yeah.
So a lot of people launch with a series, or maybe you're going to start your series week 2 and you're going to do a special thing week 1. Whatever it is, you need to be able to tell people, hey, thanks so much for being here. We're going to continue our series next week, or here's what we're doing next week. So people know, like, you have a plan, you have an idea of like what's happening here. Maybe they've been invited and they've seen your stuff and they got something, they saw something on social media and they thought they were going to come to this new thing. But letting people you have a plan from the beginning assures people that, oh, I guess they might actually know what they're doing around here.
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty common to put a ton of energy and a ton of thought and a ton of everything into week 1, because that's the big day. But then week 1 comes and it's like, oh crap, there's a week 2 now. What do we do next? So we talked a lot on this show about being prepared further out, whether that's writing messages or just being prepared for what's coming up. And it might look a little different, obviously, when you're just launching, but be prepared for week 2. You don't want week 1 to be this big high and everything's great, and then week 2 be very underprepared.
Yeah, I remember talking to some planters and before we planted, they talked about how they did that and they like forgot to plan for the rest of it. So thankfully, I mean, we did a lot of stuff wrong, but one of the things we did do well was like we actually had a plan of like the first few months, what the preaching series is going to be, what we're going to be doing, so that we weren't scrambling. Also, so our team knew like this wasn't a one day thing. Like this is the beginning of the rest of our church lives, right?
I feel like nothing would be more embarrassing, especially to maybe someone on your team who brought somebody for launch day. It's their first time, to have everything look great and polished, and it's a fun thing and it's awesome. To then come back week 2 and it was like, oh, that was all fake. This really no one's prepared for me to come back, and this doesn't look like the same church as last week.
Exactly. Now, granted, I mean, some things, like for us, when we launched, we had more of a ban on our week 1 than we did for a long time after that.
Sure.
Like, you're going to have some special things, and people understand that. But just like, again, saying, here's what we're doing, here's where we're going next week, here's what you can expect. So people, again, they just know that you're prepared.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between doing something nice week 1 and making it more of kind of a special thing, but still, even though week 2 might be a little more stripped down or might be a little more basic, but still being prepared and it not looking like, well, we didn't actually prepare for people to come back.
Yeah. So have a plan for next week. That's number 3.
Yep.
Number 4, your serving positions. Now you probably, like a lot of people for a long time, you may not be able to have enough people serving in all the areas that you want.
Yeah.
We would highly recommend, and we've talked about this in previous episodes when we talk about serving, if you can't have people everywhere, you need to have at least one person at whatever your door is. Maybe you can't have multiple, but you need to have at least one. You also need to have people in the parking lot, which for most people, I always say, we don't need anyone in the parking lot. That's not the reason why you need to have people in the parking lot.
You are wrong.
You have people in the parking lot because, again, a lot of people don't expect it. And it is the first point of emphasis when they're coming to your physical location. To already have people there that are welcoming them, that are telling them where to park. And you may not think you need to tell someone where to park, but if you've never been to church forever or in a long time, you're already super nervous. You don't know what to expect. You're looking for all these reasons why you should leave. And as soon as you get there, you have someone waving you, telling you where to park, greeting you as you're getting out of your car. It is... I don't know if we could rank the most important serving positions, but it is one of the most important serving positions is having people in your parking lot.
Yeah, we did an entire episode on why you should have parkers from day 1. I don't know what number, I didn't look up, but a little while back, and that shows how important we believe that it is to have parkers out there. That should be the first person that they see, even on week 1.
And even if you only need 1 or 2, like let's say your parking lot is very easy to access and everyone understands, at least have 1 or 2 out there. You just have somebody just welcoming them, telling them where to park, so they don't have to worry about, where do I go?
Yeah.
Especially if there's a lot of people coming on the first day.
And the great thing about needing a parker or having a parker is even if you have a small team and don't have a lot of people to fill everything, almost anyone can park cars. Almost anyone can smile out there. It's not something that takes you need to give them expectations and show them what to do, but it's not something that takes weeks of training. So even if you have a small team, you're not sure how to cover everything, you can find someone to be in the parking lot.
So again, you just want to be intentional about where you're going to have people that are serving.
Yep.
But we recommend definitely having someone in the parking lot, which is, again, not something that people think they need. So it's often overlooked, but we think that is probably one of the most important, especially when it comes to the greeting hospitality area.
Yes.
We would say have parkers from day 1. That's what we would do.
Absolutely.
That's number 4. Your serving position, specifically parkers, have someone in the parking lot. Number 5, have something to be have set up on week 1, ready to go, is a way for people to sign up to serve.
Yeah.
We all know that one of the best ways, especially for new people, to get connected and to get to know other people, especially if you're a new church and you're still trying to figure out what groups look like or what your membership partnership looks like, or you're trying to figure out a lot of things. So it's not like you're going to have everything week 1. But just telling people, hey, from the beginning, one of the best ways, if you think this might be your church for you want to get to know people, blah, 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 sign up to serve.
Yeah.
So you need to have people, you need to have someone at your Connect area, table, tent, whatever you call it, wherever it is, have someone there and letting them know, hey, we're going to push this today, and here's what people need to fill out, basically. Here's the information you need to know if somebody wants to serve.
Yeah. Yeah, I think serving, regardless of your size, should be pushed day one.
Yes.
Because people can see that there's a need, no matter how big you are. People know that there's a need there. And people are going to be so much more likely to sign up day one.
Right.
They feel like they're in on the ground floor of it. They feel like it's the first time. They want to help build this thing if they enjoy it.
Yep.
So you need to give them a
and to be honest, man, I said this so much our first year that it was like it's the best time. It's like everybody's new. Like this is literally the best time to get in. Like use that as much as you can in the beginning. But encourage people to serve, make it possible for them to serve, because they also might think if they're new that you have people here, that there's already someone that was serving in the parking lot or at the door, you have a band, whatever. Like they might not even know that there is a need because no one said anything. And we all know if you're just launching, you have a million needs.
Yes.
So being honest and just telling people, hey, we're so excited you're here, especially maybe the end of your service. Here's what we're doing next week. And if you want to serve us, one of the best ways to get to know us, we're not going to make you serve every week. We're not going to blah, blah, blah. We would encourage you to sign up and we can give you more information. But just have a process for people to sign up to serve from the beginning.
Yes.
And here's number 6. Now, number 6 is not really a thing to have in place, but it's just a thing to think about.
Okay.
And that's this, is don't apologize. And what I mean by this is it's launch day. You might be nervous. Things might not go the way you want, and you want to make a good first impression. So let's say someone's mic was muted too long.
Right.
Or the band or the singer or whatever messed this thing up, or like the slide wasn't what it was supposed to be. It can be very easy to be like, hey, I'm so sorry that happened. I promise. And when you do that, people feel awkward. They feel bad. Nobody really expects things to be perfect.
Yes.
Ever, really? I mean, it's okay. So it's just like, sometimes it's just making a joke or making light, or sometimes it's just not referencing it at all. Like it's like people, okay, that was awkward. Like we don't have to make this big scene about it.
Yep.
But I would just say, don't feel like you need to apologize over and over and over again for everything that doesn't work, because it puts other people on edge, thinking, I don't know. I don't think that people are expecting perfection.
Yeah.
So just being real and authentic, and launch day and beyond, I think sometimes we apologize for things that happen in the service or whatever, and it's like, because you apologize it, now we're all thinking about it, whereas before it was not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it makes people focus on what happened instead of just kind of knowing, which everyone knows, that things happen.
Right.
And I think that we, as people on stage or people that are kind of running the show, notice these things a lot more than other people do.
Right.
Because everyone's been to churches, or people that have been to church for a long time, they've seen bunch of mistakes, big and small churches, everyone makes mistakes. And so actually pointing it out and saying, I'm sorry, this won't happen again. It's just launch day. Everyone bear with us. It's launch day. I think just like you said, it just makes it feel more awkward.
Just for example, like let's say the pastor gets up, and it doesn't have to be launch day, just in general. So you go to church one time, pastor goes up, I didn't sleep good last night. I'm sorry. It's like you're already expecting it to be bad. Like you would rather have not known that they're tired. It's like, oh, I'm so tired. But it's like, well, okay, well then it's like, so don't preemptively apologize, and don't apologize about some small thing that went wrong. It's okay. By apologizing, you bring a lot more attention to it, and it just, I don't know, puts people on edge.
I agree.
So, again, those are 6 things to have in place on launch day. Know how you're going to follow up. Have first-time guest gifts. Have a plan for next week. Serving positions are important, particularly parking lot.
Yes.
Have a way for people to sign up to serve, and don't apologize for small things that happen.
Yep.
So, hey, if that's you and you're launching soon, we're praying for you. Hope it goes well. If you have questions, practicalplanning.com/questions, and we'll talk about it in a future episode. And until then, we'll be with you next time on Practical Church Planning. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Practical Church Planning. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Practical Planning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, make sure you like or subscribe or do whatever it's telling you to do or should do on that platform.
And hey, if you are so tired of looking at our ugly faces, but you're not tired of listening to our beautiful voices, then you can find our podcast if you just search Practical Church Planning on iTunes or Google Play. Make sure not to just find it, not just to listen, but to subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. Brian, tell them to subscribe.
Subscribe.
See you next time.